Hi everyone, my name is Helen, and today I want to tell you about my surrogacy and how I came to it and why. You may have heard stories before about girls my age having babies, some getting married, and some having babies for themselves. I don't have that. I gave birth for a reason, and not for myself. In life, sometimes there are situations when we cannot make the right decision, but whatever decision we make, it will be an experience in the future. And here already, we can avoid undesirable consequences, building on our mistakes made before. When I was 16, I got pregnant by my boyfriend. I have no parents. I grew up in an orphanage on my own. I ran away from there at 14 and started living a homeless lifestyle, but not for long. I was lucky enough to meet a woman. I rented a trailer to live in, and she also gave me a job in her coffee shop as a cleaner. So I worked off my housing. Sometimes I took overtime at another place to save money for food and clothes. My life wasn't exactly a sugar rush. After a while, I met a guy named Keith. He was all independent and tough, having grown up with an older brother. I couldn't decide if he had more courage or stupidity. Nonetheless, I fell in love with him like crazy. We dated and then started living together at his place. A couple of months later, I realized I was pregnant, and he immediately kicked me and my stuff out the door. Sorry, but I'm not ready for that. I hate you. How could you do this to me? I'm sorry. You should leave. So he kicked me out. I had nowhere else to go. I was left in such a I won't go on. You understand already. After a couple of days back on the street, I realized that I did not want to ruin my child's life. I never wanted my children to pay for my mistakes, and so I went to a clinic to prevent it all. While I was sitting and waiting in line for a consultation with a doctor, a woman came and sat next to me. I didn't know her, but she struck up a conversation. Congratulations to you. Yeah, thank you. So young and already a mom. Isn't that wonderful? I guess. I didn't feel good about her talking to me, but there was no one else in the hallway except for us, so I sat still. I've been trying to have a baby for 18 years. I've had 3 husbands and God still won't give me kids. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks. And you're such a young girl. You're just a kid yourself. Yeah, I know. Is your mom okay with it? Excuse me? Your mom's okay with you having a baby at your age. I don't have a mom, and I'm not going to have the baby. What? Yeah, as you pointed out, I'm too young to be a mom, so... Oh, my God! The woman suddenly became animated somehow. She turned to face me and started asking me not to have an abortion. What? I'm sorry, but that's what I decided. I have no home, no money. That's what's in it for you. Excuse me? Give birth for me and I'll pay for it. But it's my baby. I don't care. I just want to be a mom. I'm doing eco for the 10th time. With this money, I would have bought another house a long time ago. Give birth for me and I'll give you my apartment. I have a 2-bedroom in town. I was confused. To be honest, I had never thought of such a thing. After all, to become a surrogate mother for my own child, no, of course, there are surrogate mothers, but they just carry a baby in them, and roughly speaking, the biological material is another alien man and woman. But that woman, she fell on her knees before me and begged for my help. Then the doctor came out and called me in for my appointment. I stood up and went into his office. They did an ultrasound, took some tests, and everything was fine. Except for one thing. I have good news for you. Your pregnancy is going very well. There are no problems, but there is some bad news. What is it? If you have an abortion now, there's a chance you won't have any more children. You came to us a little too late. Are you serious? Unfortunately, I'd like to help you, but it's either give birth or face the consequences. What do you think? Can I think about it? Certainly, but not for long. Every week counts, you know. I left the office upset and sad. I was met by the woman again when I came out. At the sight of her, I suddenly cried. She put me in her car and took me to a cafe for lunch. I told her my whole story, and she reminded me once again of her proposal. I had nowhere else to go, so I said yes. Miss Red brought me to her house, gave me a room, and I went to live with her. She provided for me completely, fed me, clothed me, and paid for all my medical expenses. Nevertheless, there was a sadness growing inside of me, a kind of heavy feeling. Every time I stroked my belly at night and imagined how the baby would come into the world, every time I had the ultrasound and heard his heartbeat, and was happy. So a few months went by and we were expecting a boy, just like Miss Red wanted. She was all excited about becoming a mother. She made a nursery in the house, bought a crib, and even started buying things, toys. She paid for my maternity yoga and often sat with me and spoiled me with shopping. When it was the 9th month of pregnancy, I was walked home from another trip to the doctor, getting the necessary tests and eating a big croissant on the way. I wasn't paying attention to anyone, and in the middle of town, I met him.
Oh my god, Helen, is that you?
Fuck you.
Wait, where are you going?
Back off, I said, you freak.
Wait, what is that?
He asked, pointing to my stomach. None of your damn business.
Wait, is that mine?
No.
Stop.
He took my hand and asked me to stop again. What do you want?
Is that my baby?
No, it's someone else's.
No. 1, 2, 3. The timing is right. It's our baby.
What difference does it make? I'm leaving.
Wait, please. I'm sorry I chickened out the other day. I'm an idiot, please. Let's start all over again.
Bullshit. He was still trying to say something, but then Miss Red drove by. I ran to her and we left. She asked along the way who it was, and I told her it was my loser brother. There were no more questions. We got home and I went to my room. I felt so sad I couldn't hold back the tears. I was crying my eyes out. Miss Red got worried. She started asking me if everything was all right. What are you gonna name him?
David. I really like that name.
I see.
Why?
I'd call him Eddie.
Yeah, I like that name too. I'll think about it.
I cried even harder. She hugged me and asked me to calm down, then went to get some water. At that point, my stomach hurt a lot and I fell to the floor. Red took me to the hospital where the contractions started, and then the birth itself. And the moment I gave birth a few hours later, she put the baby on my chest. I felt this hot, screaming lump on me, and I cried. Eddie, my Eddie! I cried. I fed him right away and he fell asleep in my arms, and I cuddled him and cradled him in my arms. After a while, Miss Red came in. She wanted to hold him, but then the doctor came in and gave me a piece of paper.
Sign the baby's waiver.
What?
Waiver? It's like what we talked about. The apartment's ready, I brought the keys with me, and I even called a cleaner.
Wait a little while, I still have to feed him.
He'll be asleep for a few hours. Miss Red can hold him for a while and you can go back to sleep.
No, I've got him, okay?
Helen, I don't understand. Do we have a problem?
I'm not giving up. He's my son. I'm not giving him up to anybody.
What do you mean? I fed you. You lived with me all through your pregnancy. Miss Red, please leave the room.
I'll give it back. I'll give you all the money back.
You don't even have a place to live. You'll ruin his whole life.
Keith then burst into the room from nowhere.
This is my family, and they're gonna live with me. Who are you? You're her brother. I'm the baby's father. I'm taking them home.
I can't tell you how I felt at that moment. I was so happy, and Keith took us home. We started living together. My Eddie is growing up, and Keith is working. Red eventually forgave me, but she didn't take any money back. She only wished us happiness and asked us to visit her occasionally as a grandmother. We didn't mind. So that's how I couldn't give up my baby, and I don't regret it for a moment.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kim. I'm a pretty emotional girl. I've always been that way, and I'm likely to stay that way. There are people who blush when they're angry, hiccup when they're scared or something, and I cry every time someone kisses me. It doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing. I don't even know what kind of sins I deserve such a super ability for, but I'm terribly uncomfortable with it. Now I'll tell you how I discovered it and what I sometimes have to worry about, what I go through. In the meantime, leave your opinion in the comments and I'll be happy to read them. I have a father, a sister, and a brother in my family. Our mother has been working in another country for many years. She went there to earn money, but she has not yet come back. We certainly do not despair. We wait and believe, especially the youngest one. He was very much attached to her. I remember how my father wouldn't let my mother leave at first. He kept saying that if anyone was going to work, it would be him. But she wouldn't listen to him. And then my father had some difficulties with the documents, so he had to stay with us anyway. He, like many dads, had no idea how to deal with us. But thanks to the services of nannies and the eldest daughter, that is me, we managed to survive. So that's why I'm telling you about all of this. On the day my mother left, I was about 12 years old. We were very small, and I was already thinking I didn't want her to leave. But I knew that if my parents had made up their minds, I wouldn't be able to talk her out of it. So I slowly forced myself to come to terms with the idea, and finally, when the day of her departure came, my mother kissed me for the last time. It was the coldest kiss from her. I swear, I felt like she wanted to get out of there fast, like she wanted to start a new life, and I felt like this was our last meeting. Naturally, I didn't tell anyone about it, and I still keep it a secret. But something strange happened to me after that moment. I remember when we got home, I suddenly felt very bad. So bad that I almost fainted. My father called an ambulance and turned pale. I was pumped out, told that it was all about nerves and stress, advised to rest more and enjoy life. Yeah, you'll be happy here because the most difficult part is still ahead. From that moment on, our lives were different. We learned what it means to belong to yourself, take care of each other independently, solve problems, meet new nannies, clean, cook, and so on. It was especially hard for me because I'm a girl and because I'm the eldest. From that day on, no one ever kissed me again. I didn't even have the habit of kissing my girlfriends because I didn't want to. At home, kisses were reduced to 0, and so we lived. A few years had passed, we had matured, changed, and hardened. Everything fell into place, exactly as it should have been. I was doing well at school, and then it seemed to get even better. I got a boyfriend. He went to a different school, was older than me, and I really liked him. You won't believe it. Our relationship was right in my head. Everything was fine until he kissed me. At that moment, it was as if I felt a chill again and a wave of tears rose to my throat. Hot tears gushed from my eyes. I was crying like I was at a funeral. Sam was surprised. The first time, he asked me 100 questions about what, how, and why, but I couldn't figure it out myself. Then we started checking, and the theory was confirmed. I have something like an allergy to kissing. I roar like I'm on my last day of life. I first cried after kissing and then laughed at myself. It looked awful, but I couldn't help it. I even went to a psychologist, and she told me that it was all about my distant childhood trauma. Everything is connected with a kiss from my mother. Maybe it won't go away until I forgive her. But the thing is, I couldn't forgive her. In the end, Sam couldn't stand it, and he left. Of course, it was terribly shitty, but what could I do? Because I could not stop him. He is also just a person. Over time, everything became normal, but I also changed, became such a callous bitch. I think the thing is that I have accumulated a lot of resentment. Over the years, I stopped letting anyone near me at all, and I didn't even have any friends. One time, a girl from the parallel began to crowd in on me. Her name was Helen, and she had a boyfriend named Dylan. He was a real hunk. I didn't mean to hurt her, honestly, but my inner angry bitch was driving me at that moment. Helen knew about my tantrum after the kiss and thought it was cute. I remember. She had a party and I had a little too much to drink. I got sick and went to lie down in Helen's room. Then her boyfriend came in. He wanted to take something and I started pestering him. Anyway, I kissed him and started crying. At that moment, Helena came in. She knew what was going on right away because Dylan had a face like that and I was sitting on her bed sobbing. They broke up and it was my fault, and she also stopped communicating with me. I know I don't deserve a friend like that, but it happened the way it happened. Since it's been a couple of years, in the end, I was left almost alone. I had no friends, no soulmate. The guys were scared. I couldn't hold them. A couple of years later, I changed psychologists, and he began to actively help me. He was just writing a scientific dissertation on disorders similar to mine. Dr. Rob treated me with all sorts of methods, and it was free except for consultations. After 5 years, his work bore fruit. And the moment when he decided to test everything in practice, it became the most memorable. He kissed me, and for the first time, I reciprocated calmly, without tears or tantrums. Everything was fine. After that, we started dating. Yes, I am still together with him. I don't know anyone who helped me, supported me, or believed in me the same way Rob did. I couldn't ask for anyone better. As for my family, Rob became almost our family psychologist. He also helped my father not to bury himself in himself. We found a common language, and soon, my father built a decent life for himself. We jokingly called Rob our mom, but if we're serious, we're all very grateful to him. Do you think you guys would be able to date a girl with this feature? How would you behave if your partner reacted to a kiss like that? Please write your opinion in the comments and tell your stories. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share my story with your friends.